Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, I'm going to break down how you should apply to multiple banks for business funding without hurting your credit score. Two applicants can have almost the same credit score, the same income, and businesses that are nearly identical on paper, yet one person will get approved for $15,000 while the other walks away with $100,000 or more in business funding. This has nothing to do with luck. It doesn't have to do with a secret bank or some special relationship that no one else can get. In many cases, the real difference is the order in which they apply, also known as business funding sequence. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a complete business funding sequence that could potentially help a well-qualified business owner secure $100,000, $250,000, or possibly even more than that across multiple banks and business credit products. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody watching will receive those exact amounts, and no bank approval is ever guaranteed. Your credit profile, your income, your business revenue, your existing debt, your industry, your location, and the bank's current underwriting rules will determine what you can actually receive. However, without having a solid strategy, even a strong applicant can leave a tremendous amount of money on the table by applying in the wrong order. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So first, let's actually talk about what a business funding sequence actually means. So sequencing is a simple strategic order to apply for lenders that's designed to maximize your approval opportunities while minimizing the blowback of too many inquiries landing on your credit report at the exact same time. Now, that may sound complicated, but the basic concept is very easy to understand. So imagine that you want to apply with 3 banks. Each bank might be willing to approve you for around $25,000 based on your credit profile. If all 3 banks review the exact same credit bureau and you apply one after another, the second bank may see the inquiry from the first bank. The third bank may see both previous inquiries. Even though these accounts will not appear on your personal credit, those inquiries can still make it look like you're aggressively searching for credit. Now, the first bank may approve you for $25,000. The second bank may be reduced down to $15,000 because they see that recent activity. And then the third bank may only approve you for $5,000 or deny your application altogether. So instead of receiving a possible $75,000, you walk away with $35,000 or even $30,000, and you wonder why your results didn't match the approvals that you see someone else posting on, let's say, social media or on YouTube or anything like that. Now, let's completely change your strategy. The first lender reviews Experian, the second one will review TransUnion, and the third one will review Equifax. Each of these lenders will pull a different bureau, and each inquiry will land somewhere else. Your credit profile has not changed, but the applicant has prevented each bank from seeing the recent applications. That can preserve the possibility of stronger approvals down the line. And this is why copying a popular list from social media is just not enough. Bureaus can vary by state, product, application channel, and current underwriting. So you want to treat bureau information as a working data point, then you want to build a lender map before submitting anything. Now, before you submit a single application, you need to make sure both your personal credit and your business credit are properly positioned. Otherwise, even the best funding sequence in the world will not produce the results that you're expecting. There are 3 things you need to address before you begin, and the first one will be your personal credit profile. Now, ideally, you should have at least a 680 FICO credit score across all 3 credit bureaus. Now, this is not a strict requirement. I have seen people receive approvals with scores as low as a 620. However, I would consider a 680 the general threshold that gives you the best chance of qualifying for the widest range of approvals. Your reported credit card utilization should be around 10%. You should have no major negative items, and you should have very few hard inquiries. Now, if you have recent hard inquiries from previous denials or other business funding approvals, you can remove those inquiries from your credit report because they do not attach to a product. And that is one of the greatest things about applying for business funding, is that in most cases, the business accounts themselves do not report to your personal credit unless maybe you default, or there are some certain, let's say, Capital One products that do, but I rarely ever talk about those when it comes to business funding. And if you want to learn how to remove those hard inquiries, I'm going to link a video showing you exactly how to do that. I'm going to put that right here. I also want to give one more disclosure. You do not want to remove hard inquiries linked to actual accounts that report to your personal credit. If you remove those hard inquiries, it could affect the reporting of those accounts. And if you're someone who's dealing with negative items like collections, charge-offs, late payments, you have to get rid of those, and that is where Rising can help. Rising is an all-in-one DIY credit repair platform that not only gives you access to your credit reports and your scores, it also shows you what may be hurting your credit, and it helps you take action with tools like dispute templates and bureau response tracking, and using the auto mail feature to mail your disputes from the website or the mobile app. You should use Rising as your 90-day credit improvement system. It can also include up to 24 months of rental and utility trade lines that can back report your payment history. That can add 2 years of positive on-time account age to your credit report instantly. It's also very easy for you to get started. Once you sign up, you watch the How to Use Rising tutorial that walks you through the platform in about 7 minutes or less. And right now, you can access your credit report through Rising's $1 7-day trial. There will be a link down in the description. There will also be a clickable link right here on screen. Now, remember, banks are not only looking at your credit score, they're also reviewing your payment history, your existing debt, recently opened accounts, credit card utilization, and how aggressively you've been applying for new credit. The second thing you need to review is the structure of your business. Your LLC should be active and in good standing, and all the information that you enter on your application should match your official business records. That includes your legal business name, your employer identification number, your business phone number, your professional business email, and your business address. Your home address is usually still acceptable depending on the lender and the type of business that you operate, but the most important thing is that all your information is accurate and consistent everywhere. You don't want one address registered with the state and then another address entered in on your application and then something completely different appearing on your business credit report. I recently updated 2 videos for 2026 showing you how to structure your business credit. The first one shows you how to actually build your business credit in 30 days, and the other video shows you how to actually establish your business and structure it for business funding properly. You can find both videos in my business credit playlist that will be linked down in the description below. You also have to keep in mind that your industry can influence a lender's decision. If you have a business operating in industries like trucking, restaurants, cryptocurrency, cannabis, or any other industry that's highly regulated or volatile, those industries may receive additional scrutiny from lenders. The third thing you need to understand is inquiry sensitivity. There is no universal rule stating that every bank will automatically deny you after a specific number of inquiries. However, many lenders become increasingly cautious when they see several recent applications on the same credit bureau. Some institutions, including Chase and US Bank, are commonly considered more sensitive to recent credit-seeking activity. That's why those lenders are generally placed near the beginning of the funding sequence. Lenders that may be less sensitive to recent inquiries, like American Express or certain Elan financial products, they can be positioned later down the line in the sequence. One of the most common questions about sequencing is, how can I determine which credit bureaus will actually be pulled? Well, there is no perfect answer because the bureaus can vary by state, by product, by application method. However, most of the larger institutions that we're going to discuss, they are well known for pulling the same bureaus consistently. Now, if you go to www.successwithstevensmith.com, I do have a credit pull guide. You can download that completely for free. That will give you over 100 banks and credit unions that may pull certain bureaus based off of your state. Now, the guide is not perfect. I try to update it as I can, but again, this information will not always be guaranteed. You should always double check this. All right, now once your personal credit is prepared, your business information is accurate and consistent, and you understand how inquiry sensitivity can affect your approvals, you are ready to begin the actual funding sequence. Now, once again, I just want to point out, if you're properly positioned in all 3 of those areas that we just discussed, you can then begin your funding sequence. I also want to point out that if you have one bureau, like let's just say Experian or TransUnion, where your credit report is actually clean, it is okay for you to begin a funding sequence where you can only use one bureau, except you're going to have to modify things a little bit, where you're going to have to maybe pull that one bank, wipe the inquiry, pull that next bank that pulls from the same bureau, wipe that inquiry, so on and so forth, because you really don't have to actually wait. A lot of these banks will only pull from one bureau. So in actuality, you could have like one bureau that's completely clean while you're working on the other 2, and you can start getting business funding with that one particular bureau, just pulling that, one inquiry. All right, now this is my recommendation. We're going to start with two of the banks that are the most inquiry sensitive, and that's going to be Chase and US Bank. Now, Chase comes first because it can offer some of the largest credit limits and a strong approval that can set the tone for the rest of your funding sequence. Chase is well known for pulling your Experian credit score for their business credit cards, and that's not just for one particular state. They are well known for doing this nationwide. And even though they're well known, I always give a disclosure. Things might change. Like, none of this stuff is set in stone. It might change, so just always be on your toes. Before applying, I recommend opening up a Chase business checking account, and if you can, deposit at least $4,000, although $10,000 would be ideal, especially if you have a thin credit profile where you don't have, like, let's say, large credit limits that are $20,000 or more. If you don't, the more money that you put in, the more likely you are to receive limits that are relative to, that exact amount of credit line that you're looking for. I have a video where I talk about how to structure your credit profile for high limit funding. I'm going to link that video here because, I didn't go over that in this video, but just in case you want to know a little bit more about having a thicker credit profile, that really does make a difference, especially again, if you're trying to get large, high credit limits. Now, I would suggest that you allow the money to remain in the account for a minimum of 5 business days before submitting your first credit card applications. You guys know, like in the past, if you're trying to do this, I recommend 90 days, right? 90 to, let's say, even 6 months. It really just depends on your credit profile and how much you're trying to get positioned for. But if you're in a hurry and you want to do this quick, at least at minimum 5 days is what you should do. Deposit the money in there, and then you can submit your application. The first card that you're going to apply for is the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited. And this card, at the time of recording this video, will offer 0% introductory APR for 12 months. And qualified applicants may receive limits in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, or sometimes even higher than that. If you receive an approval of at least $30,000, you can consider applying for the second Chase card on this list immediately afterwards. Now, if your limit is below $30,000, you might want to wait 30 days, put in some normal business spending on the card, make your payments responsibly, and then apply for the second card. The second card is the Chase Inc. Business Preferred. Now, this card does not come with 0% APR normally, but it can still be valuable because qualified applicants may receive larger credit limits. Those can sometimes range between $40,000 to $60,000. Now, here's where a powerful strategy comes into place. Chase, at the time of recording this video, allows you to move available credit between eligible business credit cards. You can actually do this right in the Chase app. So for example, let's say that you receive a $40,000 limit on the Inc. Business Unlimited and a $50,000 limit on the Inc. Business Preferred. You'll be able to move most of that available credit from the preferred card to the unlimited card. And again, in case that changes, if you go into the app, you'll see the feature. It should be available, at least, I've used it a few times when I want to move large lines of credit to cards with 0% APR. It is there right now, but I know that it was fairly new. Like, it happened in I want to say the past 8 months or so. Now, that could leave you with close to $60,000 in available credit on this card offering 0% APR while you keep the preferred account open for future use. Just remember that Chase normally will require you to leave a minimum credit limit on the card that you're transferring credit from. And just be aware that this may not work with other Chase business credit cards in different families. Like, for example, I don't believe that you can do that with the Business Premier or the Sapphire Business. I don't think that those will allow you to transfer your credit lines between the Inc. business credit cards. However, between these two cards, a strong qualified applicant could potentially receive $70,000 to $100,000 in total business funding. Now, that is on the higher end. So again, that's much higher. You have to be well qualified and very well positioned. Now, this will become the first major win in your funding sequence. Now, if you don't currently have $4,000 to $10,000 or money like that that's available, then you may need to skip Chase temporarily. All right, I would just do that. I also have strategies with using personal loans like Lightstream to deposit money. If you haven't seen that, I'll link another video that I just recently did here about business credit card stacking. In that video, I talk about that strategy. It's not something that you need to do, but it is something that can help if your credit profile is thin, but you want to sit money in the bank. Also, if I didn't link the video here, I have a limit of like 5 videos for YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel, go to the magnifying glass, just type in the name of the video, you will see it come up. Another strategy is that you could secure funding from another lender first, right? And then you can build additional liquidity. Like if you go to US Bank, which we will talk about next, you can always liquidate that card and then deposit those funds into Chase. So either one of those options could actually work for you, which will now bring us to our second bank, US Bank. They are extremely inquiry sensitive. In fact, Chase is the only bank that you should apply for with before approaching US Bank. Start by opening a US Bank business checking account and depositing between $2,000 and $4,000. Let that money remain in the account for at least 7 days and then schedule an appointment with a business relationship manager. Applying through a banker instead of just submitting the application online, it may give you the best chance of approval. The relationship manager may be able to process 2 applications for 2 business credit cards at the same time as well, and you should apply for the US Bank Business Shield Visa and the Triple Cash Rewards Visa. Both of these cards offer introductory 0% APR financing for 12 months, and qualified applicants could potentially receive limits for up to $25,000 on each of these cards. If you do get approved for both the max amounts, this will give you another $50,000 in 0% APR funding. Now, if you do not want to work with the relationship banker, that is completely fine. I have a video titled, I Got My Did LLC $111,000 in 0% business credit. In that video, I walk you through a recent funding sequence where I completed a US Bank application completely online. So you guys can check that video out. Again, I probably can't link it, but go to my channel, search for that title, you will find the video. I believe that video will provide you with some valuable information and show you exactly how this process works. And before we move on, US Bank will normally hard pull for credit cards with TransUnion, okay? So first bank, Experian, second with US Bank will be TransUnion. Next up is going to be Truist, because Truist will typically pull Equifax. Now, we can often apply with them around the same time as Chase and US Bank. With Truist, you can open a business checking account and apply the exact same day. However, here's the strategy that I prefer. Do not immediately ask about the credit card. You want to walk into a branch, open up your business checking account, and see whether or not the banker offers you a business credit card during the process. Now, if they offer it to you, apply right there on the spot. If they don't, you can call later that day or maybe sometime during the week and submit your credit application over the phone. I've seen significantly better results using this approach, with approvals commonly ranging from $15,000 to $25,000. The cards you should apply for would be the Truist Business Rewards card that has 0% APR for 9 months. And then my other recommendation would be the Truist Business card, which offers 0% APR for 12 months. Now, those are all at the time of recording this video. That can change in the future. Now, if you're not in the digital footprint of, let's say, Truist, then Citizens Bank will also pull Equifax. For the best results, you want to open a business checking account and you want to apply for their business credit card inside a branch. I've seen approvals ranging from $20,000 to even $50,000, but that would be your Equifax alternative, right? You wouldn't be able to do both in the same day, or if you have both of these available to you, then I would make sure that you remove the hard inquiry from Truist first before going to Citizens Bank. Now, that would complete our first funding sequence essentially, and the next thing that we would want to do is take a moment, make sure that we review our credit report, review our limits. I would put this in like a tracker or something and actually like put down how much you've received and what your goal actually is. Then we want to take a moment. We can wipe those inquiries. If you don't know how to do that, again, check out my video. You can do that through rising.com. You can submit that and remove those hard inquiries. Then the next thing that you want to do is move on to PNC Bank, which typically pulls Experian. Now, I've seen the best results when you open a business checking account and deposit at least $1,000 and then apply for the credit card the following day if you're in a hurry. If your application goes into, let's say, a pending status, you want to call PNC's reconsideration department. That's going to be at 1-800-762-5684. Now, that number, once again, is working at the time of recording this video. Eventually, videos age, and then depending on the time that you're watching this, always check, because data points, phone numbers, things like that, they all change. So always do your due diligence, okay? I normally see approvals between $10,000 and $20,000 with PNC. Now, the PNC PNC credit cards have really dwindled, I would say that you can get the Cash Rewards Visa credit card for 0% APR for 9 months. That is the card that I would recommend that you look at. Now, let's say that you don't have access to PNC in your footprint. Wells Fargo would be your alternative, and they also will pull Experian. I recommend depositing at least $2,000 into a new business checking account and applying in branch for both the business credit card, and after 6 months to 1 year, you can go back and even apply for their business line of credit. Now, the thing about the Wells Fargo Signify business credit card, at least at the time that I applied, even if you open an account, you can't go online and apply for the credit card. You have to wait at least 91 days of your bank account being open, your business bank account being open, before you can actually apply for this credit card. If not, you have to apply for it in branch. So I would suggest to you, go in branch, deposit your money, and then most likely the banker will offer it to you. If they offer it to you, then go ahead and apply that same day, or you can then, maybe wait a few days and make an appointment and then come back and talk to that banker, because the banker will let you know whether you're eligible to apply for both products at the same time or whether you should only apply for just one. And then depending on your profile, you may receive $15,000 to even $50,000 in total funding, with an average of around $20,000 for most applicants. The Signify Business Cash Card also has 0% APR for 12 months. Now, by the end of this round, you could potentially have anywhere between $50,000 to $200,000 in new business funding, and you still haven't even applied with all the banks on this video yet. Now, this is where American Express comes into the strategy, and American Express is a little interesting here. Now, while your other applications are being processed, I highly recommend that you would strengthen your relationship with American Express. Now, that unique feature is that if you already have a credit card with them, like a personal credit card, or even being an authorized user with a limit above $10,000, they will put you in a very strong position. You also will most likely not receive a hard inquiry when you apply for their business credit card. If your limit is below $10,000, I would consider requesting a credit limit increase before you apply for the business credit card. With an established personal relationship, you should consider the Amex Blue Business Plus card and the Blue Business Cash card. You also have to be aware that American Express limits you to one credit card approval every 5 days. That is the 1 in 5 rule. There is also the 2 credit card approval rules every 90 days. That is the 2 in 90 rule. Now, this does not include charge cards. Now, for this video, we're not going to cover charge cards because charge cards typically have to be paid in full every month. We're focusing on 0% APR credit cards here. Now, if you wanted to apply for charge cards just to get them, one of my favorite is the Plum card. With that card, you can carry a balance for 60 days by just paying, I think, 1% of the balance from the previous month. So realistically, you could get 2 credit cards with American Express, both of those blue cards, and then maybe 1 charge card. I would suggest doing the Plum card. Now, Amex customers may receive approvals between $15,000 and $25,000 per card, although every applicant's results will vary. Now, if you don't currently have an American Express personal credit card, then consider starting with a card like the Delta Sky Miles Gold, something like that, because that will establish your relationship and help you build positive account history. If you do that, then you're able to return to American Express near the end of the funding sequence or 60 days later or so on. That way you can potentially improve your chance of receiving stronger business credit card approvals. Without an existing relationship, most applicants receive a limit around $2,000. So again, you definitely want to establish that relationship. Keep in mind that you also may be able to reallocate some of your American Express credit limit over to another card. So in the past, I've done this with American Express business credit cards that have had higher limits, and I reallocated it to credit cards that had 0% APR. At this point, you may have inquiries from Citizens, Truist, Chase, US Bank, PNC, and Wells Fargo across 3 credit bureaus. You need to review your reports once more before we move on to the next few banks. Now, the next bank that we're moving on to will be First Citizens Bank. First Citizens pulls Experian and Equifax. Now, when it comes to First Citizens, you do have to apply in branch. You cannot apply online. Now, the strategy that I used is to deposit approximately $1,000 and apply inside the branch same day. When you do that, you'll get potential approvals of $15,000 or more. If you have more money to spare and you have much more liquidity, then you can deposit $10,000 and maintain that relationship for at least 2 weeks. If you do that, you'll potentially get much larger limits. I have seen approvals reach $50,000, but results will depend on the applicant's overall credit profile. Next is Bank of America. Now, Bank of America will most likely pull TransUnion, and for stronger relationship results, you want to consider depositing between $1,000 to $2,000 each week, approximately for 30 days before applying for this credit card. I have worked at Bank of America. They are very, very much so. They are heavy on deposits. They are heavy on relationships. They do want to see a lot of money with their bank or with Merrill Lynch. It has to be with one or the other. But here's what I will also say. I have seen approvals ranging from $18,000 to $60,000. I've even seen some accounts as high as like $100,000 for certain credit cards. Not often, but I mean, I've personally seen that with like working for them, looking at accounts. Again, not very often, but it is a possibility. It can happen. If you do get one of their cards, I would recommend the customized cash rewards card. With that one, you get 0% APR for 7 months. And I'm sorry, I missed First Citizens. They have the cash rewards card. That one will give you 0% APR for 9 months. They also have a second credit card that will give you 0% APR for 12 months. And finally, we have Elan Financial Services. Now, Elan is a specialized credit card issuer, and they are a division of US Bank. This will pull from TransUnion. They partner with hundreds of smaller banks and credit unions, and they provide outsourced white label credit cards. Now, I did not list one specific credit card because Elan works with so many different financial institutions. Some of them are credit union partners like Desert Financial Credit Union, Chevron Federal Credit Union, Banner Federal Credit Union, and Greater Nevada Credit Union. Elan also works with regional banks like Busy Bank, Popular Bank, Prevail Bank, and Preferred Bank. Now, the best strategy is to research regional banks and credit unions that are available in your area. When you visit any websites that you think might be backed by Elan Financial, go to the credit cards and you'll see the disclosure or application page. Usually at the bottom, it will say issued or serviced by Elan Financial Services. However, you cannot apply for an unlimited amount of Elan Financial products. They do have a max exposure that you can get on all of their business credit cards. So just be aware, you might be able to get like maybe 2 or 3 cards with around $20,000 to $25,000 each, but then that's going to be it. Because of that, I would carefully choose 1 or 2 partner banks or credit unions that offer the strongest products. Now, depending on your profile, limits may reach, once again, $20,000, $25,000 per card, and many Elan business credit cards will offer you an introductory 0% APR period lasting up to 18 months. All right, now here is the recap of our funding sequence. During the first few weeks, you'll be opening the business checking accounts that are needed to establish the relationship with each one of these banks. In week 1, start with Chase and US Bank because both lenders can be highly sensitive to recent inquiries. During the same week, you can apply with Equifax-based lenders like Truist and Citizens Bank. Once those applications are complete, move on to PNC and Wells Fargo. They typically review Experian. At the same time, begin establishing your relationship with American Express if you don't already have one at this time. After completing the first round, review all 3 of your credit reports and remove all the inquiries before moving on to the next round. Between days 30 and 60, you can begin the second round of the sequence, which may include First Citizens Bank, Bank of America, and Elan Financial Services. After that round, review your credit reports again and remove any hard inquiries. Now let's add up your potential approvals. Now, Chase may provide anything from $7,000 to $100,000. US Bank may provide up to $50,000. Truist may provide between $15,000 and $25,000, while Citizens Bank may offer between $20,000 and $50,000, and this is per card. PNC approvals may range from $10,000 to $20,000, and Wells Fargo may provide between $15,000 and $50,000. American Express may add another $25,000 to $50,000 across 2 business credit cards, and then First Citizens may provide between $15,000 and $50,000. Bank of America approvals may also range from $18,000 to $60,000. And Elan Financial Services may provide up to $20,000 or $40,000 across multiple cards. Now, using the lower end of the ranges, your total potential funding is more than $250,000. On the higher end, for qualified applicants, they may be able to potentially secure $400,000 or more in business credit. However, the key is not simply to apply for every card in this video. The key is to follow the correct sequence, understand each bank's underwriting requirements, and using the right data points at the right time. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If this information helped you understand business funding sequencing in a way that finally makes sense, please subscribe to the channel and recommend this video to anyone who you think might need it. Sharing is really important. I have more videos breaking down individual banks, business credit cards, approval requirements, and strategies that can help you make better financial decisions. Leave a comment below and let me know which bank you want me to cover next, and I will see you in the next video. And as always, you guys have a wonderful day.